Patnubay ng mga magulang ang kailangan. For entertainment only, shoutout sa lahat ng mga Pinoy sa Propac, at lalong-lalo na sa mga panggabi at Hi Dubai. Kung gusto nyo ng mga bagong pelikula, mag-comment lang kayo below ng title, at sisikapin kong ibibigay isa-isa. Now let's go back to the video.
A young couple finish their first date and are heading back to their hotel suite. As the man is about to open the door, the woman gently stops him and says, "Wait, I can tell how you make love just by the way you handle that door." She continued with a slight grin. "For example, my last date jammed the key into the lock and practically kicked the door open. That told me he was too aggressive in bed, and I definitely don't enjoy that." She paused for a moment, gathering her thoughts, and then added, "And the date before him spent forever fumbling around, trying to find the lock, and that told me he lacked experience. Which isn't my thing either." She then looked him directly in the eyes and asked, "So, how do you open the door?" "Well," the man replied with a sly smile, "first I lick the lock." 1. I was desperate and couldn't get a date with a woman to save my life until I swiped right on a dating app, a profile picture. She asked me to pick her up, so I did, but I wasn't expecting much. I walked up to the door, bracing myself for disappointment, but she answered the door 5'2" with sparkling blue eyes, strawberry blonde curls, and curves that could stop traffic. I said, "Wow," and introduced myself. She gave me her name, so I asked what she did for a living. She said, "I'm a youth group leader." I said, "Well, I've never been with a religious woman before, but I'm open-minded about the whole thing." So we got in my Mustang, and I was trying hard to impress her now. I headed to the fanciest place in town that didn't take reservations. I asked her if she'd like to smoke a joint while we wait. She said, "Heavens no, what would I tell my youth group?" I quickly apologized. I figure weed's a toss-up. Some people do, some don't, so I took a few puffs. And then we got a table. She ordered the lobster, I ordered the steak. I asked for the second most expensive bottle of wine on the list, but when the waiter came to pour it, she declined, saying, "Heavens no! What would I tell my youth group?" I knew right then and there it was going to be a challenge. We ate our pricey meals, talked and laughed. Had a great time at dinner, but I drank that whole expensive bottle by myself, thinking her faith was one serious buzzkill. So I'm driving her home, and we pass a cheap motel. I figure I've got nothing left to lose, so I say, "Why don't we get a room and fool around?" She says, "I thought you'd never ask." I say, "Really? What will you tell your youth group?" She says, "The same thing I tell them every week. You don't have to drink and smoke to have a good time." 2. A nurse was dating a surgeon and got pregnant. The married surgeon desperately pleaded with her to keep it a secret and avoid being seen in public. 9 months later, she arrived at the hospital to give birth. At the same time, a bishop was admitted for having a large tumor in his prostate. The surgeon had a sudden idea. He sedated the bishop under anesthesia and removed the tumor. When the bishop woke up, the surgeon presented him with a newborn and claimed that it was a miracle they found a baby in his prostate. The bishop, being a devout man, didn't question it and took the baby home. 15 years later, after the baby had grown into a teenager, the bishop decided it was time for a talk. "Tell me, Father," the boy asked. "Listen, son," said the bishop with a sigh. "I'm your mother, and the archbishop is your father." 3. A couple from Alabama got engaged. The wife was still friends with a lot of her exes, but her fiancé didn't mind. He just didn't want them at the wedding. The wife agreed it would be awkward, saying that it would be weird if she invited someone she slept with. Her exes were a little upset about not being able to go to her wedding, considering none of them had any interest in getting back together, but respected her wishes. After the first 3 months of the engagement, they had selected a venue and a date and made most of the decisions they needed to make before they sent out their invites. The wife said it would be best if they were all handwritten, so it was more personal and easier to keep track of the guest list. The husband agreed, and they got to work writing the invitations. It took them a good few hours, but they eventually finished. The wife was very cautious about the invitations, however, and wanted to make sure everyone they wanted to invite had an invitation. The husband laughed and told her he was sure he didn't miss anyone, and walked off to watch TV. Despite that, she double-checked all of her fiancé's invitations and realized that he did, in fact, not invite someone very important, his brother. She cockily walked into the living room and said, "Ha! I knew you forgot someone. You didn't invite your brother." The husband quickly replied, "I thought we weren't inviting anyone we've slept with." 4. A 70-year-old man named George goes in for a routine checkup. All of his physical tests come back perfectly normal, so the doctor asks George if he's feeling okay mentally. George enthusiastically assures him that he is. The doctor then asks if George has a strong connection with his faith. George excitedly explains that whenever he gets up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, the light automatically flicks on, and it switches off when he exits. George believes this is a sign of his divine connection. The doctor, utterly amazed, decides to follow up with George's wife to verify this. Doctor: Is it true that when George goes to the bathroom in the middle of the night, the light turns on as he enters and switches off as he leaves? Wife: Oh, that silly old man has been going to the bathroom in the refrigerator again. 5. A mother takes her teenage daughter to her gynecologist appointment. The doctor performs a routine examination and discovers that the teen is pregnant. The mother's face instantly turns crimson. If steam could escape her ears, it would flood the entire room. The daughter insists, "Mom, the doctor has to be wrong. I haven't even held a boy's hand." Upon hearing this, the doctor stands up from his chair and walks over to the window, seemingly searching for something. The bewildered mother asks what he might be looking for. He replies, "The last time something like this happened, a star appeared in the east, and I'm just checking to see if it's back." 6. Son: Dad, I fell in love and want to date this amazing girl. Father: That's wonderful, son. Who is she? Son: It's Sandra, the girl next door. Father: Oh no, I wish you hadn't said that. There's something I need to tell you, but you must promise not to tell your mother. Sandra is actually your sister. The boy is understandably disappointed, but a couple of months later. Son: Dad, I fell in love again, and she's even more beautiful. Father: That's wonderful, son. Who is she? Son: It's Angela, the other neighbor's daughter. father. Oh no, I wish you hadn't said that. Angela is also your sister. This went on a few more times, and finally the son was so furious that he went straight to his mother, crying, "Son, Mom, I am so angry at Dad. I fell in love with 6 girls, and I can't date any of them because Dad is their father." The mother hugs him warmly and says, "You can date whoever you want. He's not your father,